Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with VP of Advertising at Alcovy and manager Rob Watson discussing how his aunt Nona Hendricks helped kickstart his career as an A&R, building relationships on the golf course, and getting a high from making deals. Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and I'm sitting down with entrepreneur, manager, VP of Advertising at Alcovy, Rob Watson. How you feeling?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a part of the podcast. Now, I know I was asking you off the record, what do I introduce you as? What can I say? You're just like a man who's done a lot of things over the years within entertainment and beyond. So let's get into this journey of yours. It's been a long journey, would you say?
Yeah, I guess so. we will go down memory lane. It's been a long walk.
Yeah.
It's been a long walk, yeah.
Okay, so I know, where are you originally from?
I was born in New Jersey, but I was raised here. So I'm from
In Atlanta?
Yeah. I've been here since I was 2.
Oh, yeah, so you're Atlanta.
Yeah.
So you actually started off with an independent record label.
Yep. Yeah, man.
That garnered over like $60K in Atlanta.
Yeah, we did all right. I had a couple partners. They were some twins, and they owned some hair salons, and they started a record company, and I joined them, and we had a group, and popped off for a second, made some money. We thought it was gonna be easy, and then one of the guys went to jail, and it was over. So it's kind of cool.
It was over because he went to jail.
Well, it's hard to promote an artist when they're in jail. It was back then,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, the Free JT movement is lit.
Yeah. Back then, when they go to jail, everything kind of stopped. There was no social media at that point. So, yeah.
So after the independent label, what did you decide to do? Because, after that was like the flop.
Man, yeah. Nah, everybody made some money. Everybody cashed out. We put some money back in, lost some money. What did I do after that? My life was kind of weird at that point because I was just coming home from being in the military. So
you were in the military?
Yeah. I was in the Navy. Did a couple tours, fought for my country.
Really?
Rah. Yeah. I did that.
Why did you decide to do that? If you had aspirations, or did you have aspirations at the time to do music and stuff?
High school. When you get out of high school, you don't know what you want to do, and that recruiter come by like you could be somebody.
Right.
You can do it. You know what I mean? Now, I personally, after doing my 4 years, I think everybody should do 4 years in the military. It's the best thing ever.
Why? Because I don't agree, personally.
Well, I'm very analytical, right? So I look at, and I work in advertising now. So I sell stuff for a living. And I look at what college sells you and what the military sells you.
And what's that?
So college sells you after 4 years of college. If you pay me, after 4 years of college, I'll give you the opportunity of a career. Mm-hmm. And you can take that career, you can go get a job, and you can make money, et cetera, right? So look at your life 10 years after college. You have college debt, right? You have a career that's starting, hopefully, because some people are unemployed after college, but some people make money after college. Now you do 4 years in the military, and what do you have after 4 years in the military? You have free college tuition. You have health care for the rest of your life. You got benefits, preferred loans, free access. You got TV commercials running around the world telling people to hire you just because you are a veteran. So after 4 years, if you give them 4 years either way, when you look at the rest of your life, which one's going to hold more benefits 20, 30 years down the line?
I guess it's to each his own, because I could speak to what I gained from going to college in that 4 years aside from the debt,
But you can still go to college for free after the military. So I'm going to give you free college after the military.
Right.
And I'm going to give you health care for the rest of your life, which is important. And I'm going to give you all these military preferred loans for SBA loans, preferred loans for cars.
Right.
Being a veteran 10, 20, 15, 30 years from life, you're going to always be a veteran and you're going to always get a discount. Being a graduate of this college isn't always going to get you something outside that.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's perspective, I would definitely say, and experience. Coming from that situation.
And
So
only,
what
and
else?
only 6% of people ever go actually fight in combat. So 94% of people go to the military and never fight.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend to my nephew or my nieces to go to the military right now in the current state, but I do understand.
There's no wars. Best time to go. Go ahead.
I guess. I mean, I do understand the perspective, and I hear a lot of people within entertainment, especially who went to the military first, and then they decided to, kickstart their career afterwards. So, I mean, to each his own, So you worked with top-selling artists from Kim to Franchise Boys, which I'm sure was pretty important, being that you were not born and bred, but bred in Atlanta.
Yes.
LaBelle, and this is over over a 10-year span that you're working with these top-selling artists. Talk about that transition going to move to New York, because you've been here. You had been in Atlanta for a long time.
Yeah.
And then you decided to move to New York for a record company.
Yeah, so my journey was a little easier than most people. My aunt is famous. So my aunt is known to Hendrix. My aunt is one of the members of LaBelle, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, blah, 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 right? She's a G. I love her. Thank you. You changed my life, etc. So if you're listening, I love you. So, had a record company in Atlanta. Things were going all right. Still had a day job. And she called me up.
What did you do during your day job?
I was still an electrician. I was an electrician in the Navy. So They trained me. They taught me how to be an electrician. I got out. I'm a veteran. They hired me as an electrician. They paid me good money. Okay. And so she called me one day, and she's like, I'm about to start a record company. You in or you out? Like, got somebody going to put up some bread. Come on up. Let's go. So I just quit my job that day and packed up my car and just moved to New York.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
Were you nervous about just like dropping everything and just going up there, or are you just confident because it was your aunt?
Yeah, I knew my aunt was, she's like my second mother. Okay. You know what I mean? So I knew she wasn't gonna let me starve. But I was ready to go. So I had a Volkswagen Beetle. Like I literally just packed up like 2 bags.
Oh wow.
And just literally drove it. And it was funny about the car is one of those Baja Beetles, the one that don't have the engine on the back.
Yeah.
So it's loud and whatever, and it worked really well in the South, but that's not a car for the North
exactly.
Because the engine gets cold and it doesn't start. So yeah, I went up there in the wintertime and it didn't operate too well. The car didn't do well at all.
So you was on that subway.
Yeah, but New York is very friendly. I lived on the Jersey side, took New Jersey Transit into the city, took the trains back and forth.
So what were you doing at the record label?
A&R. So my first job ever was A&R. It worked out well, and it didn't work out well because the guy was investing in the company, ended up being on American Greed later on in life, like a Ponzi scheme kind of guy. So that kind of fell apart, but it got me to the city.
What did you learn through that experience? I mean, like, did you learn that people aren't always who they say they are?
Well, I was promised one salary when I got there, but then when we got there and the money was no longer there, it was like, okay, we're just going to figure it out. But, it was my aunt. She loved me. So she always made sure I ate every day. Like we went out to dinner every day. We hustled up money. We worked in the studio every night. We made music. We did a bunch of things. She made sure I had.
So what was the first, project or that you A&R'd at that time?
The first project I worked on with her was an artist named Carl Hancock Rux. He was a poet. He was dope. So she was taking poetry and putting it under music at the time, and poetry with Jessica Caramore and a lot of those poets out in New York was kind of hot, and we put music behind it. And eventually it got him a deal at Sony.
Dope.
And kind of went the wrong way, but yeah.
The music business. What would you say, how would you say you were affected during that time in the music business? Like, how was it? Because I feel like, we all know that the music business can be, you love it, but you can also really, really hate it, the way that things can happen, the way that you talked about greed, you talked about, how things can take a turn. Somebody could go to jail, troubles happen. but you still have some sort of love for this because you spend a lot of time A&R projects, managing artists and doing this thing. So how would you say you learned from the experience despite the struggle?
I think again, my journey is
Situation a little
different.
different, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think that someone else would have ended up back in Atlanta, back at work. You know, but man, the music business is what it is. You know, they loan money. They're the only bank in the world that will loan you money based on talent. So most artists don't understand that. Like, you can't go to Chase Bank and say, I can sing, can I borrow $150,000?
Right.
So the only bank in the world that's gonna loan you money because you can sing is a record company, and they charge a extremely high interest rate because it's a very high risk loan. And if you start to look at it like that, then the business becomes easier to understand why they do the things they do.
Right.
You know, so yes, they taking 80% of your bread because only 1% of the loans actually make money.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So eventually you ended up going into Motown Records.
Yeah. So segue, like, I've been playing golf my whole life.
Really?
Yeah. So I used to be a teacher in New York. I used to teach at Chelsea Piers.
Oh, wow.
And I always tell people, like, there's two things that helped me make it in music. It was my aunt, like, she got me to New York. She kept me sheltered from some of the snakes, and then it was golf. So I met some of the amazing people in music just through golf. Like, I gave Tina Davis a golf lesson.
Wow. How did you get into golf in the first place? Because, I mean, I was kind of forced to learn how to play golf through, like, a league, a minority league.
I'm an M&M student here from Atlanta. So
What is it?
Years ago in Atlanta, they had this program called Majority to Minority, where they shipped all the black kids to the white schools.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, you know, I kind of went
What
on the other
school
side.
did you go to?
I went to Lakeside High School.
Okay.
At the time was like, yeah, it was the other side of the tracks.
Right.
But so it just kind of, our exposure was different and just went different places. So I just met all these people, and I had some buddies in the building at my aunt's who recommended me for a job in publicity at Motown.
And what did you think of that when you first heard it? Did you know that, like, what that
I didn't know
entailed?
what publicity was, but it was cool. And I went for the job interview and got the job the same day. I didn't have a resume. I've never had a resume in my entire life. I know exactly how I got the job. Serena Gallagher, we had our meeting, and I asked her, I was like, how late do you work? She's like, we stay here till about 10, 11, 12 o'clock every night. And I was like, if you hire me, we'll leave at 9. I'll take 3 hours off your light. She said, you can start tomorrow.
Wow.
So I had no experience in publicity whatsoever.
So how could you guarantee her that you were going to be able to take that 3
Sweat
hours?
equity. We're going to work.
Right.
And like, I'm not leaving at 5 and let you stay here till 11. We're going to work together.
Right.
And we're going to get work done, you know? So maybe that's the military in me. I don't know, but it was kind of like, if you ask her to this day, that's exactly why she hired me. I had no experience in publicity at all. And so I got there, and the first project I worked on with her in publicity was Brian McKnight.
Wow.
During the Back at One days. It mostly, if you know that song, it was a monster.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite songs. We listen to that every time we clean up the house.
Yeah, it was a beast, right? So, you know, that got me in the whole spirit of being at a major label, seeing how they do it. We just, you know, flying, and he's hosting Miss Universe and on tour at the same time and shooting videos in the desert, and, you know, we're doing press junkets, and so.
So what was your role during that space? Like, were you doing?
I was just a do boy.
Okay.
Like, you just do.
Whatever.
Like, my first official day at work, Serena walked into the office. She was like, okay, man, I'm so glad you're here. She walked me to a corner to a desk that had someone else's stuff on it. She's like, this is where you're going to be. But I had to leave. I got a plane to catch to L.A. I knew you don't know how to do travel yet, but figured out kind of you changed my flight on the way back, and I'll talk to you later.
Wow.
And then she left. And so then I had to walk down the hallway and introduce myself to people like, I don't know who you are, but I work over here.
Right.
I don't have a login yet. I don't know how to do travel. And by the time she landed in LA and by the time she got in the hotel, I had figured out how to switch, you know, so just jump in and figure it out. And then some of the other staff members in the publicity department helped me out. But yeah, it was just due.
I think the coolest part of that part of your journey at Motown was that you advanced in like 2 years. So you went from doing publicity, this job that you had no idea about, into A&R again at Motown Records this time. So you working with really like major artists, right?
Luck and God.
Luck and
Luck,
God.
God, and golf.
Luck, God, and golf.
We're gonna go back to golf again. Like, so during my time teaching at Chelsea Piers, I don't even think Frankie knows the story. So this guy, kind of short guy, comes in, bald-headed guy, and then he's down there hitting balls, and I just randomly walked by and give him some pointers. Like, he wasn't paying for a lesson. I was just nice to him, just helped him out. I'm working in publicity downstairs. At Motown. I'm walking in the hallway, and that same guy walks up to me like, "Yo, what are you doing here?" Right? And I'm like, "I work here now." He's like, "You work here?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh shit, come with me now." I can cuss here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right? So
everybody's always so surprised, like, can I? No,
so
it's cool.
He walks me down the hallway, and he walks me into the president of Motown's office. "Yo, this dude, he used to teach at Chelsea Piers. He works here now. He's on our golf team."
Oh, just like added you to the roster.
Added me to the roster.
And just like that, you in the conversation.
I'm in there with the general manager, the president of Motown, and the CFO.
Wow.
And we're all playing golf that weekend.
That's crazy.
In the original team. And
talk about the types of conversations you have on the golf course.
Golf course is where the money's at. Well, you gotta look at it like this. You got 4 hours to do nothing but talk. So, versus in general sales or anything else you do in life, you got like 30 minutes, you got that. But in golf, you have 4 hours to do nothing. You literally only spend 2 minutes actually hitting the golf ball. The other 4 hours is walking, talking, bonding, whatever it is, right? So you play golf with people, you get to know people, good and bad, right? And most people are on their best behavior on the golf course. They don't wild out too much.
Right.
So, yeah, I went from being in the publicity department to playing golf with the president of Motown like in 30 days.
That's crazy.
Right? At his house, like 2 weeks after that, giving him lessons. So
that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. So when I asked to move over to the A&R department when the job became available, like my boss Serene at the time gave me her blessing. The president was like, "Cool, I don't care.
Right.
Like, you still playing golf tomorrow, right? Cool, whatever." And so I didn't. Yeah, a little charmed. A little lucky and a little charmed, and so yeah, that's how I got an A&R. Hitting the golf ball.
I mean, that's an amazing story. First off, but I mean, you went on to do some pretty dope things. Like, why would you say that? I mean, you let me start here. You've worked with some of the music's top selling artists. Like I said, I mentioned Kim, them Franchise Boys, and then Grammy Award winner India.Arie. So that's like one of my faves coming up. What was one of your favorite moments working with these artists? Like, how did you learn from that experience and eventually apply it to what you're doing now? Like, did you have a favorite moment where you're just like, I can't believe this is my life?
Yeah. So again, luck. The very first artist I ever got to work with was India.Arie. That was my first artist ever. And it was really on she was signed to the label. They knew she was special, but they didn't know what was yet.
Yeah.
But she was coming to New York to work with producers. Mm-hmm. And my boss at the time, Bruce Carbone, is like, "Kidar's got this girl coming down here. Rob, find her a place to live, find her a place to stay. Go pick her up and get her there." All right, cool, okay. Whatever, right? Yeah. And so I pick her up, and guess what? She from the A. What? Yeah, guess what? We grew up around the corner from each other.
Really?
We already good.
Easy.
It was all good,
easy
right
connection.
There. It's all good. Sorry, it was all good from there. And so we were already like, I got you, you got me, right? And so we went, so that was actually the first album I ever worked on as a coordinator and eventually as an A&R. Just happened to be India.Arie.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I just happened to, go back full circle. When I worked with my aunt, I met this amazing producer by the name of Mark Batson, right? Who's going on from India to do, everybody, Dr. Dre, Eminem, you know, everything, right? So if you ever meet him, he'll say like, Rob got me in the game, right? But so India's playing me all this music, and she's not necessarily happy with the producers in New York. She's like, I want to go home. And I was like, okay, fuck it, let's just go home. And we just jumped in my car and just drove to Atlanta. Yep, it was like a holiday break. I said, I'm gonna take my car, we're gonna go. I had no AC.
That same car?
No, this time I had graduated to a Saab with no AC. So we literally we driving in the summertime down to Atlanta. She got her foot out the window, singing songs, whatever, just figuring it out. But so, you know, I suggested that she work with Mark. He ended up doing half the album. But then what she did in return for me was when when I put in with Mark, that wasn't my job. I was a coordinator. I wasn't A&R. So they hit the bill and was like, yo, what are you doing? That's not your job. It's not your scope. You're about to lose your job. You're about to be out of here. And her and her mom, shout out to Simpson, walked in the door and vouched for me. It's like, wow, he did a good thing. Right. Yeah, but it's not his job. He's not really qualified for that. We're going to get you so much. Yeah, but we like him.
Right.
So we'll let him work with that person. They was like, nah, but we like him.
Right, period.
Yeah, he did a good thing. So she stood up for me.
That's dope.
You know, I stood up for her, she stood up for me, and that was our relationship in the building. Like, we stood up for each other. And then she just so happened to get like 7 Grammy nominations. So
just
so happened, right? So then, you know, I go from coordinator to, yo, you're the dude who has the relationship with the most important artist in the building at that moment. So, yeah, things kind of changed.
Yeah, quickly, I'm sure.
Yeah, for her and for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we kind of took that journey together.
That's dope.
You know, based on mutual, I'm going to always make sure you straight in the building. You always going to make sure I stay in the building.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How, like, why, let me ask you why you do music, because we never really talked about your interests. Obviously, you know, you have an aunt that's extremely notable. You obviously have a love for music to just like pick up your stuff and dip to New York. But like, why do you think you do music, and where did those interests come from for you?
I guess first a fan, right? I tell people I don't do music business. I do business of music. So I'm not talented. I can't play an instrument. I can't sing on key. Sometimes I think I can, you know, maybe get into that later. But yeah, but I like doing business. And I'm, you know, I'm a good chameleon. I can live in all worlds. You know, a lot of artists told me over the years, Rob, you need to go talk to them white folks. You know, I talk that white folk language. You know, so I've always...
That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. Been skilled in that way and comfortable in that space. Like, I don't want to be in the studio till 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, like, I want to be in the studio till around 11, and then someone has to be up at 9 and do the work.
Exactly.
So there has to be some paperwork. There has to be some session reports. It has to be, you know, someone has to book Patchwerk. Right? That's my relationship with Patchwerk. Like, I came here, and I made every record I ever did in Atlanta. I always made it here.
We appreciate you for sure. Yeah. So that relationship, and I want to actually talk about that, just like how you were able to utilize those relationships you made when you were working with your aunt to going into Motown, to being able to connect Indie. Like, how important are those relationships, or even building with the president of the company, the GM of the company?
That's all you got. You know, in my field, A&R,
exactly.
Right? In A&R, there's no degree. You can't go to college for it. It's just who you know and sweat equity. There's nothing else, you know. And unfortunately, you can be replaced quickly because it's not a skilled position, right? I was blessed to learn how to make records from 3 different people, right? My manager and the head of A&R at the time was a guy by the name of Bruce Carbone, right? Bruce Carbone is a tactician. Like, he's a administrative guru. If you ask anybody, like, Bruce knows where all the parts are at. He knows who's supposed to be in the studio. He knows if it's a good or bad deal. Like, he can make a record he was on the early A&R Bryant McKnight's, like, and what was that? What was it? 98 Degrees and all that other stuff, right? But from a tactician standpoint and knowing how to manage your staff and knowing how to get a record done on paper, I don't think I've ever met anyone better than Bruce Carbone, right? My immediate guru in music was Kedar Massenberger, so that was my boss at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Kedar makes records with passion. He wants to hear all the mixes. He wants to go to the sessions. He's a very passionate music maker, right? Great administrator, great at rallying the troops, ran Motown, made us profitable and all those things. But he made records like it was important,
Right.
what it sounded like for the culture.
Exactly.
And then I was also working sometimes under Monty Littman, who was the president and CEO of Universal. And Monty made records from a purely financial standpoint in some respects. Like, he never asked me to listen to a mix. He just asked me if I thought it was going to be a hit and it was going to work at radio. He never came to a session with me, whatever. So I learned how to make records
From all those different perspectives, and that's how you make hits. That's how you get some. Those are three great components to a hit record, in my opinion. So moving forward, you ended up kind of getting out of this A&R space, and I know you ended up managing Bangladesh, who was on this podcast as well. You still manage to this day, but you got into media buying and planning, and started your own agency that grossed like more than my interest.
We do all right. Yeah.
No, my interests lie in the money. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. You have a clientele that includes Universal, State Farm, Kia Motors, Mansion Line, Pepsi, and the list goes on. But you were able to gross about 1.5 million in sales at the time.
That's old.
That's old.
We're doing all right.
Today, the company averages a lot more than that.
We do okay.
And with like your ad placements, like some clients in which you've worked with in the past. That's why I talked about you continuing those relationships, Motown, Capitol Records, Nike, and more. So my question is, you seem to know how to make money well. With your experience in the business and with your personal business ventures. How'd you learn to generate so much money in such a short amount of time? Like securing the bag. Let's talk about it.
I'm a big fan of Willy Wonka, right? So my favorite line from Willy Wonka, when the little kid asked him why does he make all these different chocolates, he said, "See a need, feel a need." So first time I heard that, it stuck in my head. It's like my mantra, right? So I used to own a car wash, whatever. It was like I just see a need and I feel it. So when
you used to own a car wash.
Mm-hmm.
Dope.
Yeah. So when the music industry started to kind of like, well, people say fall apart, but the music industry is making more money than they've ever made their entire life.
Right.
It's just different kind of math. People can't do it. But so when they started letting a lot of people go, the creative departments were the first to go, A&Rs and stuff like that. Most of my friends, most people I know went directly into marketing. Right, and film, right? They went directly into using their relationships with artists to connect them with bigger brands, etc. Steve Stout move, right?
Right.
But marketing people need ads. So none of my friends knew how to buy ads. They just knew how to get the project, right? But as far as negotiating the TV space, the billboard space, the radio space, and understanding the metrics and the math behind it. And it's not sexy. Like, you don't get an award for buying the billboard. What? No, you know what I mean? You get an award for designing the billboard. Right. I've never wanted to go in marketing because I think marketing people get fired. I don't like to get fired. I'm the messenger. Never shoot the messenger, right?
Right.
So when I first thought about going into buying media, I was able to call some friends in the marketing departments at the labels that I worked and just say, hey, I want to take a shot at it. And they gave me a shot. And I delivered, and they gave me another shot, and I delivered, and
you just kept delivering.
Yeah, that's it.
What does it take to do what you do? Like, I mean, I don't know that many people understand media buying and planning, like what that means. So what does it take for you to drive those types of sales?
Which is good, which is why I was able to make it.
Right.
So for a long time, I was like the only African-American owned media buying agency in America.
Wow.
I didn't even know it at the time.
Yeah.
So, but I would constantly go into label meetings or go into offices, and they would say, "Okay, so what company you work for?" And I'd be like, "Mine." I mean, you own it? Like, yeah. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it was
Taken aback. Yeah.
yeah. No, but it was in a positive way because it was already an immediate assumption that I knew how to reach African American people.
Gotcha.
Oh, you look like them and you worked with
So
them,
you
so
can do
you
it.
can how to reach them, right?
Gotcha.
So it wasn't that hard for me to garner business because I was the black
You're the
face.
market.
Yeah. You know, which is kind of funny. So going into that space, life was not as difficult. I don't know, maybe I just have a charmed life.
You have had a quite a charmed life.
I'm good at sales. Like, I'm good at people like giving me money.
Why is that, though?
One, because I earn it. And two,
Like, how do you convince them before you can earn it?
well, okay, I believe there are three things you should do in life. And it translates into sales and translates into every single thing you do, right? So the first thing every person on the planet should do in life is ask for money. Every day. That is your job. That is your purpose, is to ask for money. So, and he who asks the most makes the most. So I always tell some of my friends, I don't make more money than you do. I just ask for more money than you do. You ask for this job and they say they're going to pay you $100,000 and you ask for that job one time and that's all you get for the year. I ask 20 times a week for that same dollar amount. If I hear, so you know what I mean? So that's
I totally understand.
What it feels like, right?
Got you.
And then the second thing you're supposed to do every day is learn something. You're supposed to learn something new every day of your life. And the third thing you should do every day is teach, give back. So even in sales, I ask my clients for money. I learn something about them, and I teach them something about me, right? So I'm not so people appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, at least that's what I think it is.
No, I definitely think that you got it down to a science.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what's your motivation in life? Like, there are a lot of things that tie together in everything that you've been able to do, from management to, you know, starting off as an independent label owner to A&R to exec, you know, so on and so forth, to eventually coming back to your own agency. What has been the driving force throughout all of these different things?
I like doing deals. That's really what it is. Like the first time I signed the artist.
I can tell it excites you.
To this day. Like, I don't know why. Something about the transfer of money. The transfer of money to me is a high. I know it sounds completely arrogant, but no, I like that. Like when I first opened my car wash, the idea that someone paid me $50 to wash their car. I was like, oh shit, we got $50. Do it. Right? The first time I signed the artist, like, yo, I should sign the franchise boys. Like, what? Yeah, like, you know, they want to sign with me. So through my entire career, I'm still excited when the transfer comes through and people trust me with their money, and it motivates me to deliver. So this last year, one of our clients was the U.S. Army, and it was a Essence Festival. So I'm the media buying agency record for Essence Festival. You know, when I won that, it was still like, damn, I just won Essence Festival, right? Not really understanding completely how big it is. It's the largest gathering of African American women in the world.
Huge.
Right?
Yeah.
Not really understanding that at that moment. It was just, yo, we're going here. I'm gonna make it do what it do. I'm gonna tell her what the company does. I'm gonna, you know, under promise, over deliver. And I won? Oh shit, we won. Like, you know, so yeah, that's like my high, like just the transfer. I don't know.
That's exciting though.
Yeah. We do work for the Grammys. We do work here at Patchwerk. We do, you know, stuff like that. It's just there. Every time they say yes, I'm like, oh. So it's like a bump. Like,
yeah. Oh gosh, not a bump.
It is for me.
For you, that's your personal high.
Isn't that? I mean, who was that? Who's the dude, the Rockefeller dude? Used to always say that like his money is his biggest drug. Dame.
Oh, Dame.
Dame used to say that all the time. Like he high off money. I think maybe
you adapted that same lifestyle. Yeah. Well, I think it's dope. Like, and people could learn a lot from just like the way that you move and you operate. And congrats to being able to grow that in sales and to continue to have these clients and to continue to just live a charmed life.
Yeah. Life is easy and hard. I'm a family man now, so I got kids.
How do you balance the family though?
I'm
I know we
married to
gotta
an
wrap it up.
entrepreneur.
Oh, okay. So she understands.
Yeah. So we just figured out. She at home one day, I'm at home one day. We figured it out.
How many children do you have?
One. I have a stepson and a son and a possible. So I don't know. The number's changing.
We're
I was
working on
supposed to make the announcement. Yeah, all right. So my wife is pregnant. That's
Yeah,
it.
congrats.
Yeah.
We
Just
got
found
the
like a couple weeks ago.
exclusive.
You got the exclusive. I hope my mom doesn't listen. Don't put this up in the next week. She's not
No,
supposed to know until Christmas.
It won't be up until next week, so you're good. We got some time. Congrats to y'all, and congrats to a growing family, and just everything you're able to do. That's dope to see two entrepreneurs doing it. Family man.
Yes. Oh yeah, my wife owns a farmers insurance agency. Go to Farmers, get some insurance. Call her up. Yeah. Go.
Dope.
I'm sorry.
Look, plug.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. All right. Well, we are running a little behind on time, so I had to wrap it up. But I do want to ask if there's any last words of advice that you could give to people who are. I mean, I don't even know who can really follow behind this career of yours.
That's it. Ask for money, learn something, teach something. If you ask for money every day of your life, if you just get up and ask, right? If you think about it, if you just hang up with me and you call 20 people asking for money, you would have money today, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
All right. That's what most people don't do.
Yeah.
So most successful people, whether it's McDonald's or the drug dealer on the corner, what do?
They asking for the bread.
All day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Now you live in a time we can use technology. You can use computers and bots and algorithms to ask people for money. But that is your purpose. And if you just ask, people inherently want to give you money. That's what holds a lot of us back, is we are afraid to ask people for money. I ask for money all day.
He's like, I'm not kidding. Okay, well, I appreciate you for, giving us that advice. Tell them where they can find you to, keep up with everything that you got going on social media.
I guess I am on social media. Instagram, Georgia Boy LLC. Right. Twitter, Georgia Boy LLC. And then Facebook, just Robert Watson. That's it.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And as always, you guys can find this podcast at IDM Podcast on social media, as well as myself at Sammy Approved. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us, Rob.
All right. Thank you.
Sonically superior.